Yes, we're discussing the Kundalini engine energy of like when you act up, your nervous system act up, the Kundalini energy goes off in you and cause a whole bunch of haywires and stuff to go on. This is the Kundalini itself, the full name of the whole concept, and the energy being called the Shakti energy. The Shakti energy being a combination of two energies. Use the two energies as two sides of your bodies. Look at you having one body, but you have one brain, but it's divided into two hemispheres, so it's the same thing. This side of your brain controls this side of your body. This side of your brain controls this side of your body. The same with the heart valves and everything inside your body is polarity divided. And so when these two is not united, you got a whole bunch of algorithms falling all over the place of circles inside circles. These is called your chakra system or Sephiroth. It's not aligned, so people could tell you whatever they want, you're going to believe it. You ain't going to do whatever you want because you're not aligned due north. I'm just keeping it simple so y'all can get that knowledge of what's going on. So once you figure this out for yourself, something happens. There must have been some intellect that kicked into you to kick off the first one. The first one opens up and point due north, which now kind of let the other ones come close in vicinity to each other. This is where consciousness is now. That's your being conscious or whatever it is, because you wasn't conscious at all. You was just like a little kid, doing whatever. But now you start being conscious. First thing you become conscious is of your environment. So this two energies that came together now that is controlling your whole body. It's not united. Some of us as male, we have too much of the masculine energy, and the same thing in females. They have too much of the female energy. So when that imbalances happen, you become a gender in you become male or female in your gender when you're born. That's where gender come from. They usually call it Isis or Osiris energy. It's a reflective energy of the moon. When the moon waxes and wanes, it does it in the first 14 days. That's why Osiris is cut up into 14 pieces to represent the 14 stages of evolution in the chakra system of a human being. And Isis represent the last 14 days of the evolution of the chakra system. Depending on when you was conceived or when your parents is having sex, that determines which male or female you're going to be. So now on that note now, these two energies, when you unite them and balance yourself, you become androgynous. You're not male or female. You become back to soul, and you have now an alignment of your 13 chakras. Well, we're gonna say 7 because it's the regular high level of everybody, but then the master level is going to have the one over your head spinning and the one that's in the ground spinning, which is the real root one. Your root one is really the second one, but that's another system because we count them in sets of 13, not 7s. But so anyways, what now goes on is once those start aligning, perceptions start opening up. So you just don't see this view. You see this view from here, here, and here. It's like it give you 3 different angles because you got more bodies that is working with you, but you never knew about them because they're invisible to the visible light spectrum of the magnetic field. The reason why, because I told you of the rainbow colors and how they align with the frequency of the electromagnetic spectrum, you're going to have what's called colors. The colors of the rainbow. Each color is on a gigahertz, megahertz level of how it operates because we're in a gel. This gel is what we call a scalar wave. It's a scalar wave grid that we're only an antenna that could pick up but a set frequency like an Intel chip because we're really a crystal. So with us being a set Intel chip, we work just like the same computer do, but we work on a higher speed. There's no word for it because quantum is nothing, light speed is nothing compared to us. That's like a turtle. But you know, they're not going to teach us that. So anyways, now that we have that, so you have frequencies at different pitches going all up with the color that matches it. That's what's inside of you. So during the course of the day, that's the sound you're hearing of the sun as it twists around. That summons up different spirits that's on you. Different cells come out and get neutralized and refresh themselves. And so you're part of that circadian rhythm. Our old ancestors knew this, so they started working with lights and colors. That was the first thing for healing. And shape, platonic shapes. You get the triangle, the square, the rectangle, even a perfect circle, and you just stare at it. Those was the first form of municipal healing. And so later on, as we got dumbed down, we started using medicine because the Anglo-Saxons wanted to make money off of it. But there's only one true way of healing, that's through the electromagnetic field. That's why you have biofield machines that help heal you, and that's why you have little pores with holes in it that actually spin. That's why you have little hair sticking up on your skin. All of those things is there's intended not to give you knowledge or to protect you from anything. It's literally to interact with the sun so that you could interact with different dimensions. Now, this is important because you're in a substance. Being that you're in a substance, once you enter the substance, it's like you project. You're a consciousness. How is that and how it works? Is like, look at the atmosphere you're in, the earth itself. If you was in space, you wouldn't first just see the earth. You see the earth in the center, but you will see different colors, like the white part first at the bottom, then it starts turning to a light blue, a lighter blue, a darker blue, and then to a dark blue, then it turns to black, and then space. So as you're going through those, we'll call those like different spheres. Each sphere renders a different element of how the frequency oscillate. It either oscillates slow, a little faster, and then it keep going. These is all overlays as fractal energy on top of each other. They one on top of each other to form one unit of consciousness. These consciousness cubes is what's called part of K, part of Chi, and part of Cum elements. Now how it works is, if you look at the sun that's in space, right? If it's giving light to the universe and everything, there shouldn't be no darkness in space. You should be able to see light. But if you look at, you only see light when the particles interact with atmospheres, with what we call those biofields or standing scalar waves. That is actually part of K, part of Chi, and part of Q elements, whatever they call that. And once you are conscious in it, they start pinging. One particle of consciousness goes from a closed state, which makes a hum sound of sound, to a on state of light. So it's going real fast like this, but it's also oscillating, shaking when it's doing it. So that's what's going on, and it's doing it fast. You understand? That's literally one particle of light interacting with the rays of the sun from space to form the spheres. So you got part of K elements, part of K particles. You could say every one, which is consisted of three parts to it, makes it up. You have one that's a circle, that's a part of K, one that's a part of Chi, and the top big one now make the part of Cum. That's when it's on and the consciousness. So you got sound that's just on, then it flips over in a oscillation to light, switch it off, and then they both come on to cause consciousness, which is consciousness and light. For us, we'll just see a light blinking off and on, but that's not literally what happened. So this now is what you see when you're looking at light hitting the atmosphere, and how come there's no light in space? There's no consciousness in those parts. It's only consciousness where light is able to flicker off and on, because it's people in there, you could say. So now, when these part of K, part of Chi, and part of Cum elements start interacting, you get what's called fields of it. Each field, it becomes what's called a scalar wave, a standing scalar wave. So now, what we're living in is what you call the unified field. That unified field is consciousness. So once you have that consciousness, now comes you. You move about in this consciousness in a way that you won't believe. You're not actually walking around like we're thinking, like how I'm moving right now. In that consciousness, look at it like this. Take a piece of plywood and cut it into a square, right? You take a piece of plywood, cut it into a square. Now let's take a whole bunch of nails and run them across, all in a line. Now that you run all the nails across, I'm gonna make it more simple. Instead of using nail, let's use Christmas lights, all running across that piece of wood in rows, you know. And now say the bottom one down here is, you turn it on, And it's a blinking light system that this blink on, then this one blink on, and then this blink one on, and this one blink on, this one blink on, and it goes so forth till it goes like this. So you see now the light turning off and on look like something is moving, but in actuality it never moved. It's the consciousness of it shifting in the wave that make it seem like one particle comes on, it's now holds it, and then it takes it and it turns it off, what becomes memory. And you move through this unified field without moving. It's just the light on, light off, moving on a board that look like a clock spinning. So time don't move. You don't move. It's the interaction of energy that makes it seem like it's moving, but you're in a hologram. You understand? That's how it works. So like say if you think you're walking, you're not walking. You're stuck in matter and you're projecting. And to you it seems real, but you don't realize that there is nothing outside of you. There is no outside of you. Think about it. You're looking at things inside your own head and believing it's real. Remember, you see images in your head. Now, for you to be on the same scalar grid and on the same frequency, same vibration of whatever you're experiencing in your reality, that's what makes it real to you. That's what makes it solid. It's a crystallization. You understand what I'm saying? How does crystallization work? It's a field now. Now you're in the field. And the field, everybody who's on the same biofield is moving on the same resonance, will now see each other in that field. It's like you have a TV station that have UHF and VHF. If everybody switched to UHF, they're going to see the same thing. If everybody switched to VHF, they're going to see the same thing. So this is what makes things real and things not real. What makes them come into existence, though, is out of the field you're in, pushing out what's called your DNA. Your DNA is actually a projector that is what you're in. It's a whole field of DNA. That's what makes up the whole scalar wave at the end of it. So what happens now, you become what's called a biomorphic field. This biomorphic field is when you take your DNA, and if you have two-strand DNA and you was in that biomorphic field, you could only see one dimension of the biomorphic field. So now if you have three-strand DNA, you could see two dimensions in that biomorphic field. If you have four-strand DNA, you see in three dimensions. Hey, you're coming around now. Now you see why you're seeing here. Only reason you're seeing here is because you got four strands in your DNA. But you were set to evolve to like a 15, 24 strand. I'm not sure what's the limit, but I know you were set to evolve to 5, 6, and 7 strand because it's a substrand in the third strand. Because look at strands as where you would be before you could physically have to change your body to leave that environment dimension you're in. So in the third dimension, a fifth strand will render you a 4-dimensional view. So only thing you will have is an overlay in your ghost image. It's not going to physically change you. Even if you was to get a 6th strand in your DNA, you'll have a 5th dimensional view. That's an overlay of a 4th dimensional view with just a cloud, hello, how you doing? A cloud thought image overshadowing it. So you still will be in a physical body and you could travel up to the 4th, 5th, and 6th, up to the 5th and 6th dimension before you really have to resonate at a new biomorphic body field, which is just like what we call chelons, which is crystallized light. So you turn into a light body eventually when your DNA strand reaches 7, 8 strands. You understand? It's just automatic. But that comes through perception, intelligence, learning, pushing yourself, and meditation through what's called hatha yoga and breathing. If you look at your reality, if you was to sit still and stare at something, as much as you feel this is a real world, a wall, an object like a light or something, you will see eventually it start warping. Everything start warping. And sometimes you could just be sitting there and all of a sudden everything just start warping. The warping is your consciousness is moving up in your body to show, it's not just showing you that this is not 100% fixed and real, but it's literally showing you that everything is moving. And how you say it? It's like your perception just make it seem real. But if I was to shift you and looking, that's when you see it warps a little. It's warping because of your DNA only make it real. And as you move up in frequencies, you're going to see the particle and particle elements, they start going either slower or faster. It's like they're shaking like a tambourine going crazy, and you go in between frequencies. Now, all of this, you start having different feelings inside of you when these start occurring. It's like you become depressed, manic depressive, suicidal, schizophrenic, autism, all those things, attention deficiency, mood swings, get you crazy into the love goddess, sex all the time, sex, attitude, everything just come busting out. Isis unveiled. That's what it become. And a lot of women turn into the Lilith, where you just about truth. You don't care who you hurt, what you do. It's all part of the whole awakening and of the Kundalini. Soon the energy calms down. Once it calms down, you're going to start being just very smart, wanting to learn, and you have the ability to heal. This is all a part of your ascension. This is your awakening, because you was one way, and now it's like you was a worm, or what they use? The caterpillar that now goes into the cocoon and come out as a butterfly. So that's the hell you was going through. So now you're a butterfly, you come back and you're gonna be teaching, writing books, and teaching who don't know how to ascend, and teach people who's going through their own ups and downs and help them. You also learn Reiki and different forms of healing from long distance. You know, speaking of that, a great way to understand these concepts is because you look at the ancients. They used to like do astral sex. Astral sex, sex in general, that's why you see it in the sex temple, is the unleashing of your Kundalini. It's important to understand the concept. It's not just ritual or it's something to sustain. It's a concept of we have a knot on our intelligence, which is the crown chakra, the pineal gland chakra. You have also a knot on your heart to make you have no empathy, and you also have a knot where your sex organ and your ass is at, so your soul can't come out. So once people started learning that, they started seeking out their soul. And a lot of people, especially the Indians and the pharaohs, you see them holding their penises in the murals. They knew that they could achieve this through stimulation. And this stimulation was a sex organ, the sex snake of the Kundalini. So they always practice it as a therapeutic form. They didn't have it as like, yo, you're my girl and my girl is your girl and you only can fuck with this person. It was a form of like if somebody was in trauma or going through some type of post-traumatic stress situation, it was administered by the high priest, by these women called vestals, prostitute or priestesses. They was like temple women that stood there, and they only was under meditation to accumulate Kundalini energy from the universe, and was used to heal. That's all the Temple of Delphi and the oracles, and all of those type of spiritual speechless women was like you have sex with them. You go in there and have the most amazing sex with them and get healed, because when they finish with you, you be activated like a motherfucker because they full of energy. So they would leave them gifts, food, everything. And that was the first form of prostitution that people, when the diaspora came, they left the temple. A lot of women became prostitutes working in Holland and brothels and everything. It's a lot of gypsies. You could chase to see where the Egyptian ancestors went with all that stuff, because they're the Kundalini babies, and it's all sexual. Meaning, like, if you were standing in front of an Egyptian right now, it's like you're having sex with them. It will turn you on like that. It's a radiance they give off. I'm not trying to be perverted or anything. I'm telling you the truth, straight up and down. So they had the psychic system on lock. They come from Cyrus, and you see Draco, because they are the pure energy of our psychic side, the Most High. And that's the side of Tiamat, the dragon, Osiris, Isis, all the beings that you see from the underworld, including Serapis, Jesus, Horus, that's what you ever want to call him. He's all from our side, the dark side. Hello, how you doing? It's not from the same as what we call the Dolobroth, the god of the light, Ra, or whatever, who's here to blind us with just material things and think we are who we are. So if we don't understand this whole concept, you don't understand about the left-hand path, the right-hand path, third way, all of those whole parts in it. You know, I watched, like, from with Bobby Hemmett, and the mistake he made was taking the left-hand path to go on a journey through himself. You can't use that, because up here at the top, you have a god, a gatekeeper for each chakra zone. And they protected by the most ferocious thing that ever could survive millions and millions of years of reincarnation. It's the toughest thing. So you can't defeat it, you can't stop it or nothing. So it sends you right back down into you to redo the whole thing over without using no left-hand craft, no magic. But you had to use left-hand craft. You have to use it. If you don't use that, you will never understand those worlds. And without you understanding them, you won't be able to say you're pure. Being pure is putting on everything on you and then taking it off. If you can't take it off, that's who you are. You're one of that. That's how ancestors do it. That's why they made up the 10 Commandments and tell you to follow it. Think about it. Who would follow the law unless there was a lawless person? If it says, if I got to tell you not to fuck my wife and don't steal, you're a fucking animal. I need to cut your head off. You wouldn't think of doing that. Trust me. It's these people who's not of us, so they made the 10 Commandments. That's why in the book of Romans, it tells you the righteous is above the law. We're above the law. The law is to trick people who are bad. That's why I said a good tree could only produce good fruit, and a bad tree produce bad fruit. So you could pretend under the guise of, oh, I'm following the 10 Commandments. Yeah, that's why you fucked up. I'm from up there, and that's the rules. Whoever's under the 10 Commandments don't belong up here. Because if they got to tell you to be good, you're not really good in your heart. Listen, we're rebels, warriors, but we know truth, and we know lies, and we know who's fake and who isn't. I'm trying to let now the new way of understanding it through psychology, how these cunning snakes move. And if you're not able to understand it, you can send your own soul and get caught up in their little energy sucking game. Now, you know, I'm always cutting y'all short of meditation exercises, breathing exercises, what I do. And like I said, it's no secret, so I'm going to be giving y'all some meditation pointers that I use, and it's, you know, do it at your own risk. I can't tell you, don't come think you're going to sue me, don't think you're going to call and tell me nothing, because I'm telling you, don't do nothing I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you that straight up, don't do it. But I'm going to put it out. So if it do come up and y'all say I told y'all, I didn't. I'm telling y'all, don't do it. All right, y'all, let me go end. This is 23 minutes, but we're going to keep it going. University of Conscious Science, one love. Stay up, family.